Virtuous Devotional Thoughts for Women, written by Monica Diaz, read by Belinda Sainsbury.
Good morning, dear friends. Today, December 9th, our devotional is entitled 144 Minutes. To influence a person is to give him one's own soul. Oscar Wilde. A couple of researchers carried out an interesting study with very shy heterosexual men. As they each arrived to the place where the experiment would take place, they were told that there was a delay and they were to remain seated until they were called. In every instance, there was a woman in the waiting room who had previously been asked to make conversation and show an interest in what the man said, along with approving gestures. 12 minutes after initiating that conversation, full of attentive listening and approving gestures and words, this woman would leave, and another woman who had been asked to do the same thing would come in. 12 minutes later, the second woman would leave, and a third one would enter, and so on and so forth, until 6 women had come in, all bearing signs of interest and words of approval. After 72 minutes, the man would go in to see the researcher. The next day, the same thing happened. What those men didn't know was the goal of the study: to find out what the woman's attitude would have on their shyness. The effect was radical. They became decisive and started going on dates and feeling socially successful. After only 144 minutes of intervention. 6 months later came the moment of truth. They were to be told that the woman had been part of the experiment and find out whether that fact would affect them. The surprise was that it didn't affect them at all. During that time, they had sensed the positive effects of change and knew it had been real. Now, they didn't want to go back to their times of shyness and insecurity. What can we learn from this study? That when someone decides to positively interact with others by showing interest, attention, and even admiration, it has a great influence for good. The important thing is to know the keys to accomplishing this in a systematic and constant way. To me, there are 2 keys. 1, having a positive mindset that is worthy to be shared with others. It is accomplished by following this advice from the Bible. Fill your minds with those things that are good and that deserve praise. Things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and honorable. Philippians 4:8. And remembering that Christ is your one teacher. Matthew 23 and verse 10. And he calls us to be authentic like he was, to avoid being superficial, and to do things out of love, not so that others will see us. Matthew 23, 5-7. Our behavior should be the right behavior for the right reasons. That is being influential. How many minutes does someone need to spend with you to feel the desire to improve? In the same way, you should be a light for other people. Live so that they will see the good things you do and will praise your Father in heaven. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 16.